Welcome to Montparnasse. We've been staying here for probably 2 weeks. Just on this road here, this is sort of the main boulevard, I guess you'd call it. Like, for reference, if anyone knows, like just on the corner here is the Montparnasse Cafe, which is quickly jumped to my favourite cafe in the world. Anyway, on this street is one hell of a lot of neon signs that I noticed last night when I was walking up and down here with my wife at about 10, 11 p.m. So I brought the film camera down. I've got half a roll of Kodak 200 Gold in it, which I'm going to fire off tonight. And I want to compare that to the R5. Now, on the R5, I've got 15-35, 70-200, and the Helios 44, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, I just want to compare that because there's a really cool, good film scan lab here over near the Notre Dame. It's called Nation Photo, I believe. I'll talk about them later as well. They've literally just emailed me as I started recording this because I sent some black and white stock over there earlier this week and they've developed that and flipped it in about 4 days, which is pretty good. But I'll go through all that later. As for now, the sun's just setting. It's 10, 11 p.m. at night and we're going to kick off. Let's do it. This is where we're going to start, and we're just going to work our way down the street. This place is absolutely insane. Alright, I'm done with the 15-35 and I'm going to switch over to the Helios 44. It's a 58mm prime if you're not familiar with it. I picked it up last year when I purchased the Zenith TTL in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Awesome lens. It's been used in heaps of movies. Recently it's had a lot of fame from like Batman and I think Dune 2 they were using it in. Now it's really good at f2 and that's about it because I think at that range they give you really good bokeh and really swirly bokeh in the background as well as pretty wicked flares. So it's pretty much perfect for this. And because it's such an old piece of glass, I think this is a 1981 model. It's going to be the closest thing you can get to film without shooting on film. So. Okay, we're back. Since I've filmed all that stuff down there on the main street of Montparnasse, it has been roughly 4 days. I've got all the film developed, so I've got some Kodak 200 developed and some Kentmere 400 pan developed as well, which is a black and white film stock, which we'll go through at the end, which is a bit of a bonus film stock. Always wanted to shoot Paris in black and white, so that was really awesome to be able to pull that off and get like an amazing yield out of that. So I think it was 36 frames and there's so many of them that I can use. So we'll just go through it. I got it developed at Nation Photo, which I think I spoke about earlier, over near the Notre Dame. It was about 21 euros, I think, to get it scanned, and then you can go pick up your negatives. So it's pretty good because you get TIFF files instead of just JPEG. So there's a bit of movement in post if you do edit your film photos. I don't. So everything that you're going to see here is just straight out of camera, scanned by them, sent to me. The only notable difference is I think I just go in and I literally just straighten. That's it. Export. I don't touch any of the colors or the exposure, anything. It's all just how you're seeing it here. It's exactly the film stock that you're going to get. Okay, so we'll jump straight into it, and we'll start with the Kodak 200 Gold. So this first shot is of the awesome cafe down there on Montparnasse, the Chatier. I think that's how you say it. This was the place that made me want to shoot film down there on their street because of the amount of lights they have on display. And I think this photo pretty accurately depicts why film is really good for this street stuff, because of the halation or the bloom that you get from the lights comes through so much in film. Then after that, you keep walking down the street and there's a cinema, which is really good as well. Like, all these lights play so much into this film photography because it's kind of like having a mist filter, but you don't have one on, and it's pretty gnarly in some of these photos. But you'll notice that a lot of them are out of focus or dragged, and that's because I'm not able to control the shutter in my camera. So I don't know if I've touched on it yet, but I'm using the Olympus OM10, and I'm not able to adjust the shutter. But that being said, even if I was, this is an incredibly dark situation that I'd be shooting in, so I'd be at a similar shutter anyway. The problem being it's completely user error. Like, I should have maybe been locked off on a tripod to shoot these because it's such a low ISO. It's 200, and the lowest aperture on this camera is 3.5 with that lens. So yeah, it's definitely user error, but it's just kind of showing you what's possible. Like, this is all handheld and it's not too bad. So this, I'll compare them now. So on the left, you'll have the Olympus with the Kodak 200, and on the right, you'll have the Canon R5 with the Helios 44mm. I think that obviously the left one is a vibe. It's film, it looks amazing. But the right, like, I do lean more towards it because it's a bit more sharp and you're getting the same effect. You're getting the halation in all the bloom and all the highlights, and you're getting that vintage vibe out of this photo as well. Yeah, so I'll just let a couple of these roll over the top. This is the same cinema, and you can see left is the Olympus, right is the Canon. Same effect, and I feel like both are good. Obviously the Canon is more in focus than the Olympus, but that's, again, user error. And then here's the Metro. I actually think the film did a better job here, a bit wider, because the R5, the Helios, what's that, 15 to 35? Probably could have gone wider, but the problem with the R5 is when you go to 15mm, everything's like completely distorted. But this is one of my favourite shots that I think I've ever taken, and it was with the Helios 44 on the R5, and then when you compare it to the Olympus, obviously the Olympus is drag shutter a little bit. But yeah, the colour and the vibrancy and the faded effect in the Helios is amazing in the R5. I think that's literally probably one of my favourite photos I've ever taken ever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, comparatively, I really do like the Kodak 400 stock. I think it's amazing. It's pretty cheap comparatively. So I don't really have anything bad to say about it, except in this instance, it's probably not what you should be using. We used it for a couple of days after this, and when you compare them to each, like, I didn't take the R5 out with me, so I don't have an exact replica shot of these ones that I'm about to put on the screen. But these are when I think you should be using this film stock, and it's in like a really bright situation, like peak, 12 o'clock midday sun kind of deal, like very bright. It needs a lot of light, but then the colors really come through. Obviously that's because it's at 200 ISO, whereas if I had shot this maybe on a 400 or an 800 ISO, like, maybe my whole opinion would be changed. It was just probably the wrong film stock to be shooting this type of photography with, like nighttime photography. without the use of a tripod or metering for a drag, like a longer shutter exposure. But yeah, like you could probably pull this off, like I said, if you had a 400 or an 800 ISO, you'd probably be fine, but this was just the wrong film stock for this situation, I feel. But the photos that I've rolled, or I'm rolling over the screen now, that we took over the past couple of days across Paris in broad daylight, perfect situation for this film stock. Anyway, we'll move on to the Kentmere, the Pan 400. Yeah, I used this mainly across Paris the first week that I was here, when we're just kind of going around Paris and checking everything out. It is 400 ISO, so it's pretty good. It's pretty across the board. You can use it wherever you want. You're not really going to have too many problems. Some of these shots, when it was, middle of the day, I'd be at like f22, and I didn't really have a problem with it. But other than that, I've always wanted to, like I said, capture Paris with black and white film stock to truly, I think it captures the essence of Paris really well. So on the left is the Olympus, and on the right is the R5 with the Helios 44. Again, on the left, the Olympus, and on the right, this is one of my favorite photos actually. If you compare the Olympus to the Canon, that's with the 44, the Helios. The film, I feel, has actually done a better job. Like, I could probably lift the blacks and the shadows in the R5 to match it better with the Olympus, but like straight out of camera, this shot of the hedges down at the Luxembourg Gardens is amazing from Pan 400. That's one of my favorite shots. And then left Olympus, right Canon. This is just down on the corner here from where we live, where you get a straight shot at the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, this one here is over near the Louvre. On the left is the Olympus, and on the right is the Canon. So on the right, I shot that with the 70-200, which I actually think lends itself perfectly to Paris, because you've got the big, long, parallel streets that run. The symmetry in Paris, I think, is a really good drawing card as a photographer. So when you're shooting on a really compressed lens, like a 200mm, you can show that off really well. And I really enjoy shooting that with that over there and capturing these long streets with all these pedestrians and cars. Good way to use that lens. But yeah, whatever's left, I'll run them over the screen now while we're wrapping this up. So those are the two film stocks I've used here in Paris so far. We have a Fuji 200 in there right now, and then we might be going down to Annecy for a couple of days, and I've got a roll of Portrait 400 that I'm going to rock. If I don't use it down there, I'll use it here in Paris before we go. But yeah, other than that, that's what we've used so far. I recommend both film stocks, but obviously the Kodak 200 is more so suited to like general purpose during the day type stuff, like out in the open. If you're gonna, like, I wouldn't use it for preparations on a wedding day or something like a dark environment. I don't think it's really suited to that. I mean, it would if you could get the light in, but yeah, I'd sort of tend to lean on the more safe side and use like a 4 or an 800 stock for that stuff. And then maybe for the portrait session, or if you're just doing portraits somewhere with some client and you're in good lighting conditions, then yeah, Kodak 200 all the way, it's fine. Amazing color. But other than that, that's the lesson that I took away from this. And the Kentmere 400 is amazing. Even Caitlin liked it for the price and how easy it was to use and the result we got back from it. We're really happy with it. But the thing with black and white stock is you're just locked in. Like you're black and white. Like you can invert it and bring the color out in Photoshop, but it's never quite the same as if you had shot it direct color in the first place. But yeah, that's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Stay tuned if you want. There'll be more videos like this because I've got, like I said, another 2 rolls to go and another couple of weeks here in France. Ciao, ciao.